The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max, NXT Review.
Hello and welcome to another great edition of Wrestling to the Max's NXT Review. This is the edition of episode for February 21st, 2018. And of course, we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com. And Paul, I almost lost the date. I was sitting here thinking, what date was that? Oh, it's not the 22nd. It's not the 20th. It's the 21st. So it's always the fun part. You have your brain getting onto the show, and the next thing you know, it just flies away. I have to catch it. You know, it's like reading Rainbow, catching butterflies.
I can't tell you how many times, if it's just been me hosting, how much I've goofed, so.
Hey, it's okay. But, I'm just glad that we're going to get a chance to talk NXT tonight. We're going to have some really, really fun stuff to talk about. Also, maybe possibly some controversial things. It's going to be fun talking to you about this episode. I just can't wait. So to let everybody know, before we do jump into this NXT discussion, let's make sure you know W2Mnet.com has everything you want to find when it comes to podcast and wrestling, especially. We have many, many podcasts for the wrestling. Wrestling to the Max, of course, gives you the review shows. Plus, we're giving you our normal episodes of Wrestling to the Max. But don't forget, we've got plenty of other shows out there on our W2M network that you're not going to want to miss out on. Some great content, so trust me, go check those shows out. And also everything else that W2Mnet.com has to offer. To do that, if you're just listening to us on Spreaker.com, maybe you're on iTunes, maybe you're even listening on iHeartRadio, make sure you go check us out on the, of course, subscription, which is W2M Network. Once you go subscribe to W2M Network, you get all of our podcasts and all the other content that we have on W2Mnet.com. If you just want us, Wrestling to the Max, just find that, type that in, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to go and rate and review whatever one you choose. And also give our friends over at Formula1Mania.com, the Last Pro Wrestling.com, some love as well. They do a great job over there, so go check them out. Well, here I am. Of course, I didn't mention this earlier, but I am Gary Vaughan, and your host is Paul Leazar. And we get this thing kicked off, Paul.
We sure do. We open with the standardly awesome video package this time around. We are hyping the fourth encounter between Johnny Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas for the NXT Championship later on in the evening with, of course, Gargano's contract on the line. If he loses, he has to leave NXT. Before we get there, though, we have the Velveteen Dream taking on No Way Jose here. I think you could probably spell this out pretty quickly on where this is going to go, and that's Dream ending up defeating No Way Jose up top with the Purple Rain, big elbow drop, all that good stuff. This is fine, right? I mean, there's nothing overly bad here. It's pretty short, maybe a little north of 4 minutes, but Dream keeps on winning, keeps on getting these wins over established guys, and that's a good thing to see.
It's a great thing to see, especially if you're like that NXT crowd and you love Velveteen Dream. Mm-hmm. I mean, right? I mean, he's the guy that continually gets all the chance. This guy just has the mojo right now. Everyone surrounds him. Everyone likes him, despite the fact that he's a heel. And that's fine. I'm enjoying him. Once again, I was very cautious on this guy. I'm still a little, distance between me and him, maybe, if you'll say it that way. But I still like him. I think that there's some great things coming our way when it comes to Velveteen Dream. So this is the right win. I think this is a good victory against, I think you could almost argue, a top mid-carder. I really feel like No Way Jose is one of those guys. I think they really like him. They kind of portray him as that way. But this is a train even No Way Jose couldn't stop. So how do I feel about this, Paul? I don't know. I'm glad for Velveteen Dream, but I'm a little weirded out by it because, like I said last week, how is this going to end up? Because No Way Jose, just a mid-carder, sure, you can step on him. But then again, they were really wanting to bring this guy back from injury and make him, start off pretty hot. And this is kind of a hesitation in that, train for him.
Yeah, I mean, Dream's the new toy on the block, right? He's rolling. He got all that crowd behind him leading into his match with Alistair Black, and it just hasn't left him yet. Even if he's feuding with basically just the mid card of NXT and beating these guys up on his way to the top, he's the one that's going to get all the love because the crowd got behind him so quickly and so, vocally, right? I mean, I was going into NXT TakeOver Houston sort of or War Games or whatever you want to call it. I was expecting sort of a middling response for him, and suddenly the place just erupts for this guy, and it's just completely unexpected. So I've they're going to keep riding him until, it either dies or he has an NXT championship around his waist sometime.
Mm-hmm. What about No Way Jose, though? I mean, do you feel like No Way Jose, I don't know how to say this. Do you think that they're kind of backing away from him, or do you think that they're okay letting him have an early loss in a situation where they're trying to get him some momentum?
Yeah, and I guess my overall point is it's not really about him right now, right? There's so many people on this roster. We talk about this every week too, but that are just, they're on their way up. They're on their way up very quickly because the crowd's getting behind him. And No Way Jose had some of that early on. Of course, the injury didn't help him either, but Dream's the hot toy on the block. No Way Jose is essentially, if I may steal a quote from some Valley Girls, so last year.
I like that, Paul. I guess your comment, definitely is valid. And I sit here thinking to myself, surely they still have something in the works for No Way Jose. But what you're saying here, I guess, brings a new light in my situation, because I kind of look at last year and say, oh, it's still relevant. But you're right. If you go by the Valley Girl response, that person is last year. I just hope that they don't throw it away. Hopefully they put it in the closet until they're ready to bring it back out. And No Way Jose is more fashion sense sometime down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many heels or faces. Cause, I think at NXT it's a little fast and loose on, this guy's a heel, this guy's a face, but if they're getting cheers, boos, whatever, they're going to get pushed. And No Way Jose certainly does get something. It's just nowhere near the level of Dream or a lot of these other guys you're seeing at the top of the card right now. Yeah,
and let's don't get, beside ourselves when it comes to No Way Jose. It's not like this guy is blowing people out of the water. He's great. He does his job. And trust me, I'm nowhere near the fan of No Way Jose maybe as you or a lot of other people on our, Wrestling the Max staff. I look at him and say, I kind of feel bad. You got injured, but that's the WWE. Sometimes they just move on without you.
That's it. Dream gets some promo time after the match, calling himself the man in NXT. Nobody cares about all these big names currently or in the past. Tyler Bate, specifically mentioned, seeing as it seems like that's gearing up for a match somewhere down the line. Because everybody loves him. Everybody wants to get a part of the Dream, and, it's hard to, sort of refute that right now.
Yeah, it really is. But Tyler Bate and him together, I can't wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should be some good stuff. We go backstage. We see Zelina Vega getting Almas all hyped up for the main event tonight. William Regal shows up on our screens to let us know that the Dusty Rhodes Classic is returning in 2 weeks. The winners of the tournament will get a tag team title match at WrestleMania weekend when NXT TakeOver comes to New Orleans, which should be very cool. And that leads us to Nikki Cross and Vanessa Bourne going one-on-one. Once again, going exactly how you expect in this situation. Nikki Cross basically running Vanessa Bourne over a little bit under, a little close to 3 minutes or so. Nikki's great. I don't know if we really need to say a lot here.
You're talking to probably one of the biggest fans of Nikki Cross, so I'm not going to argue with you. And I love the fact that they still allow her to come in and look as strong as she is, especially against someone like Vanessa Bourne. Because I'll be honest with you, the way they presented Vanessa Bourne was really strong coming into this matchup. You really feel like, oh man, they're going to probably maybe 60-40 this thing, or maybe even 50-50, where both of them are getting so much offense that it's a surprise that one of them wins. And it wasn't like that at all. Nikki came out and pretty much dominated this thing. So very happy with that. To me, once again, she's got a future here. There's going to be hopefully one day a chance for her to go for gold. But it just right now, as they said, they're, a little bit on the odd side of this, because right now this is more of a triple threat for that gold. And I don't see Nikki Cross joining in to that action until later.
Waiting in the wings, I think, just because, once again, hot new toys on the block. You got to play with those right now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we get clips from Alistair Black and Killian Dane's interactions last week and their big face-off. We also get footage of Shayna Baszler attacking Ember Moon last week and Kyrie making the save, pointing to the reference that Gary just made there. And then that brings us to our main event, which gets the lion's share of the show, as it should, when the NXT title's on the line. And these two are in the ring together once again, as Andrade, Cien Almas once again defends the title with against Johnny Gargano. Both Zelina Vega and Candice LeRae are out there. I don't know if I really need to say it, but this was great. It looks like Johnny might have the match in his hands coming down the stretch. But then, Gary, here comes the Psycho Killer himself. Tommaso Ciampa runs in, attacks Gargano with his crutch, while the referee has been, sort of taken out in Gargano and Almas's little interaction there with a super kick. Almas ends up hitting the Hammerlock DDT and retains. Gargano is gone from NXT, and there's sort of a pause basically on everybody as they look down and see that clearly Gargano's beaten, and they don't really want to be the guys. Like, the referee doesn't want to be the one to count. The Morrow doesn't want to be the one to call it. They just sort of struggle. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, I agree. I love that hesitation on the three. That was so great because you knew he was just dreading it, but he had to do his job. And I love it. I think it, for what they're trying to accomplish here, it makes sense because, the NXT family, the NXT crowd, everyone is, just in love with what Johnny Gargano is, who he is, what he's about. Mm-hmm. And, this was a tough loss. It was a tough loss for me. I mean, watching it because I love Gargano. I just love, let's just be honest, every single match that these guys have, him and Almas are just magic in the ring. And they do such a great job together. You're like, oh, I'm not going to get a fifth match? Come on. So, that's kind of what runs through your mind here. And, no one needs me to sit here for 20 minutes explaining how great this match was. You just hear the matchup, it's good. And if you haven't seen it, you're just listening to us talk about it. Go watch it. You don't want to miss it. But this is an interesting story here. And my man, Tommaso Ciampa, I'm one of the biggest fans of his for sure. He seems like he's kind of in Psycho Killer mood. Yeah. Just the way his eyes are, just his actions. He's very non-caring. He's very aggressive. And we sit here at the end of the match, and I'll be honest with you, Paul. I as much as I like Tommaso Ciampa, I did have a lot of remorse. I felt really bad for Gargano. I thought it was a great send-off for the crowd to do for him. Whatever happens in the future happens. But it also makes me wonder why Gargano would want just to get rid of him, why he wouldn't want to face him in a match. But maybe this is a good story. Maybe William Regal didn't come out tonight in this episode and say anything, but maybe we get William Regal addressing this, maybe next episode. I haven't read spoilers. I don't know what's going on from here, but I just really wonder because it's hard for me to wrap my mind around Gargano not being a part of NXT or even getting a final word in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know necessarily where this is going to lead for Gargano either. In the post-match here, you do have Gargano getting the thank you Johnny chants. Almas and Zelina celebrate to the back as they're still the champs, and you have Candice come in to sort of console her husband, who looks absolutely heartbroken too, which is just nice. And then here comes Ciampa, Gary, to wave goodbye to his former hashtag DIY mate, because Ciampa is just the best. His beard is as frizzy as I've ever seen it. You're right on. I think about his eyes too. They're just so wide. Like something is terribly wrong with this guy. I really would love to hear a promo from Ciampa very soon in the future. Just, why you were so hell-bent on trying to prove that you were better than this guy, and now you don't have to worry about it. He's gone. I get that, but why this and why now and all that great stuff. So naturally, this has to lead to Gargano getting instated for one match at TakeOver. It has to. You have this heat is going to be nuclear for Ciampa going forward. You got to pay it off. You just got to.
Oh, definitely. I agree. And, the one thing I'll say is it's going to be a lot of great stuff coming forward when it comes to Ciampa, but unless we have that payoff, it's really not going to feel as right as it would have doing it. Right. And so I think that they've got to find a way to do it. I don't think that they really, to me, it's pointless to do on the main roster. It's completely pointless to put Gargano on SmackDown and then down the line, oh, here comes Ciampa doing something, and then they pay it off. They don't pay enough attention to what happens in NXT on the main brand for us to get all this backstory. They could tell the fans, go watch all this stuff, but majority of the fans that don't watch NXT on a regular basis are not going to watch it. It just, to me, they've got to find a way to have the payoff here. And like I said, that's why I think William Regal has to get involved, has to say, look, I can't stand for this. He's got to piss. This is the great thing about this too, Paul. You've got someone like Zelina Vega who can definitely sit there and scream her head off and say, this is not fair. You cannot do this. We did our part. We got the deal. You're breaking it. And let William Regal address it. I think it's going to be an amazing moment, especially for Almas, too, to show how he can throw a fit. I think it'd be perfect to address this next week and have them just go crazy because William Regal says he has to stay until he faces Ciampa or something of the sorts. I don't know, Paul. Maybe I'm out of line here, but I just got to feel like that there has to be that payoff.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly, I think, been a long play going on here since the split back Chicago, right? I mean, you've had all this time. Ciampa looks like he's raring to go now. I mean, there's something in the future. We just don't know what yet. I remember looking at the spoilers, but I don't remember anything actually coming of this yet. So who knows? I could be misremembering too. But next week's NXT and maybe for the next month, we're going to have a lot of excitement on our hands when it comes to this brand.
Yeah, I think, we can move on past this and, have some other great matchups because that's what NXT is all about, right? Development, and not only that, great stories. So we may be disappointed for a bit. Maybe they put this on the sideline and don't address it for a long time. And heck, maybe even Gargano sneaks back in NXT and affects Ciampa. And that's how we get it. Who knows? I just know we've got to have Johnny Wrestling in front of us around WrestleMania time, right? We've got to. So that's the one thing that I'm kind of looking at and pointing my eyes to see, in the next coming months, what's going to be taking place. And I'm on board still. I just very disappointed. I really wanted Gargano to win, of course, but that's not the way the story's playing out. So let's see if they can impress me some other way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will wait and see if they can on next week's edition of NXT, Gary.
Yep. So there you go, guys. Well, that is, of course, our edition of this episode of Wrestling to the Max's NXT review for you guys. So we hope you've enjoyed this. We, of course, have lots of other back episodes for you guys to go listen to. Maybe you missed last week's. Go check that out. And, of course, come check us out in the future. The best way to come find us is going to W2Mnet.com and finding us there. You can find all of our great review shows. You can find this show, the NXT review. Plus, me and Paul do the Raw review. Brandon Bisco being Harry Broadhurst and Liz Paglosi do an excellent job over there on the SmackDown Live and 205 Live shows. They do a wonderful job, so make sure you go check those shows out as well. And, of course, there are episodes of Wrestling to the Max every week. We do 1 and 2. Of course, we'll be doing part 2 of episode 287 after we're doing this show. So there you go, a little inside information there. So go check out that show. I'm sure it'll already be out and downloadable for you guys by the time you listen to this. So go check out it. It's going to be really fun. Also, don't forget to go and subscribe, rate, and review over at Wrestling to the Max or the W2M Network, whatever one you choose. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button, rate, and review. And, of course, 411mania.com, lastwordonprowrestling.com. Please go check them out as well. Lots of great content for you guys over there. But until next time, for myself and for Paul Leazar, we will catch you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
The previous podcast is a W2Mnet.com original podcast. For more great content like this, go to W2Mnet.com for the worlds of wrestling, video games, entertainment, and sports.